In this video, we'll be taking a look at one NFL game happening on December 8th, 2025, and providing you with a free team pick and total pick for this game. So 2 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on this one NFL game after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Philadelphia Eagles versus Los Angeles Chargers. The Philadelphia Eagles head to the West Coast to face the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday night in Week 14 at SoFi Stadium. It is one of those matchups where names on the helmet say heavyweight fight, but recent form from both sides tells a much more complicated story. Philadelphia is coming into this one in a funk. Losing to Dallas in Week 12 stung. Then they walked back home and somehow looked even worse against Chicago this past Friday. On offense, they managed just 6.2 yards per play, went 4 for 12 on third down, and Saquon Barkley again struggled to make a real impact. Jalen Hurts did not exactly cover for those issues, finishing 19 for 34 for 230 yards with 2 turnovers. That alone would be concerning, but the bigger red flag is how little they had the ball. The Eagles held possession for only 20 minutes and 42 seconds, roughly a third of the game. That is not just a bad day, that is a something's wrong with the whole operation kind of day. The defensive collapse might be even harder for Philadelphia fans to stomach. This group has been carrying the roster for weeks, and then the Bears lined up and ran straight at them for 4 quarters. Chicago piled up 281 rushing yards and 425 yards in total, and they picked up 28 first downs, which was double what the Eagles managed. You can imagine what sports radio sounds like in the city right now. The conversation has shifted from Super Bowl contender to, are we watching a repeat of 2023, when the team sputtered late and lost 5 of their last 6? Without a dominant ground game and sharp play calling, Hurts is not the type of quarterback who simply drags a broken offense over the finish line by himself, and we are seeing that tension again. On the other side, the Chargers are coming off the kind of game their fan base wishes they could bottle. They cruised past the Raiders in Week 13 at home. A comfortable, almost stress-free win. Beating up Las Vegas is not exactly a certification that a team is back among the elite, but for Los Angeles it was still the right kind of response after their bye. This roster still leans on its defense. They sit 7th in defensive expected points added, which fits the eye test of a unit that usually keeps them in games. The offense is more middle of the pack, 16th in offensive expected points added, and now the focus is on Justin Herbert's health after surgery on his left, non-throwing hand. He is considered day-to-day, playing through discomfort rather than sitting out. The Chargers have often struggled against truly top-tier opponents, but with the way Philadelphia is performing, it is hard to put the Eagles in that category right now. The Chargers have taken 4 wins from their last 5 outings and have quietly been steady at home, while Philadelphia has dropped 2 straight and has stayed at 16 points or fewer in 3 of their last 4 games. That stretch has exposed an offense that looks short on rhythm and confidence, and the defense has allowed 24 points in back-to-back games. The Eagles might still be the more talented team on paper, but all of the recent momentum belongs to Los Angeles, whose offense has shown more life in their latest performances. Their most recent result, a convincing 31-14 win against the Raiders, highlighted that point. Herbert, dealing with a broken bone in his non-throwing hand, still threw for 2 touchdowns. Rookie running back Kimani Vidal ripped off a 59-yard touchdown as part of a 126-yard day on the ground. That game showed off balance, with a ground attack that can hit big plays and a defense that suffocated Las Vegas, holding them to just 156 total yards. On the season, the Chargers averaged 346.8 yards per game, which is 10th in the league, and they own a top 12 rushing attack. That matters against an Eagles defense that has struggled badly against the run, giving up 128.9 rushing yards per game, 24th in the league. With Herbert still functional and Vidal emerging as a real threat, Los Angeles has enough pieces to keep this one close and possibly tilt it in their favor. Defensively, the Chargers bring another edge. They rank 3rd in total yards allowed at 275.3 per game and 2nd against the pass at 168.3. That is a very tough profile for an Eagles passing attack that sits just 23rd in passing yards at 196.3. Philadelphia has dropped 2 straight, including the 24 24-15 loss to Chicago, and even though Hurts has not been a turnover machine, the offense is labored whenever A.J. Brown is not taking over. Los Angeles has forced 11 takeaways, which is 10th in the league, and they surrender only 21 points per game, 11th overall. That makes them one of the more trustworthy defenses in the league right now, especially at home. Then there is the bigger picture around Philadelphia's offense. They have lost 2 straight, and the issues are not subtle. The run game has sputtered. Barkley sits at just 740 rushing yards after a regular season where he reportedly passed the 2,000-yard mark, so it feels like a dramatic step back. Jalen Carter's injury is also a major storyline because he was a big piece of their run defense. They just allowed 281 rushing yards to the Bears, and Carter has been dealing with shoulder trouble all season before finally choosing to get treatment to prepare for the postseason. The passing game has not caught fire either, so the Eagles are stuck in this awkward middle ground, not winning with power on the ground or explosive plays through the air. Defensively, they will be stretched to cover the Chargers' multiple receiving options, especially if Herbert is close to his usual level. He is a question mark, but the expectation is that he suits up. The Chargers' 5-2 home record is another subtle checkmark in their column, and they are getting key players back, while Philadelphia is missing important pieces on both the offensive and defensive lines. Put all of that together, and this is not just about numbers, it is also a feel thing. This Chargers group looks like a team finally finding itself, even if it has not been pretty every week. Meanwhile, the Eagles keep getting outgained by their opponents, living dangerously and hoping their red zone talent or a random big play bails them out. That is a hard way to live in the long run, especially on the road. The spread is tight, the total is low, and the game is projected to be competitive for 4 quarters. Los Angeles might not enjoy one of the league's loudest or most intimidating home environments, but staying at home for the full week, practicing in familiar surroundings, and not getting on a long flight does matter. Philadelphia, by contrast, has to travel across the country and adjust to a 3-hour time difference, which is never ideal for a primetime kick. The Chargers have faced criticism for not beating many strong opponents during this stretch, but the current version of the Eagles is playing like a middle-tier team, not a juggernaut. With that setup in mind, let us break this down into 2 parts, starting with the spread. If we start with Philadelphia, the story is one of slow erosion. A 4-0 start had everyone talking about them as a juggernaut again, but the engine has been coughing for weeks. Since Week 5, the Eagles have topped 340 total yards in only 2 of 8 games, which is not what you expect from an offense that was supposed to be among the league's most explosive. The ground game is the clearest symptom. Barkley and the rest of the backfield are averaging only 4.0 yards per carry, good for 24th in the league. Since Week 5, they have crossed 100 rushing yards just 3 times. For a team that wants to lean on physicality, that is a serious problem. That deficiency pushes a lot of weight onto Hurts' shoulders, and while he is a quality quarterback, he is not being set up for easy success. This offense has gone through regular turnover at coordinator, and that kind of churn eventually catches up. Kevin Patullo's limited experience is starting to show. There are stretches where the play calling looks disjointed, like the staff is still searching for a personality that fits this version of the roster. The result is an offense that ranks only 14th in total expected points added, which is fine, but not inspiring. And now they walk into a matchup against one of the better defenses in the league. Los Angeles does not have a flawless offense either, but they are not required to drag this game into a shootout to be competitive. Their emerging run game has been a life raft. If you toss out the ugly outing in Jacksonville in Week 11, the Chargers have run for 645 yards across their last 4 other games. That kind of production on the ground both shortens games and keeps Herbert from having to do everything himself. His surgery on the non-throwing hand is worrying if you back Los Angeles, but even before the injury, the passing attack had been mediocre. They rank 18th in expected points added per pass and 7.2 yards per attempt, which is only 14th, and in his last 5 starts, Herbert has thrown for 212, 199, 93, and 149 yards. Those are modest totals, even by conservative standards. Still, for spread purposes, that profile has a silver lining. The Chargers' identity is closer to a tough, defense-first team with a functional ground game than a fragile, pass-heavy outfit. Their defense, which is 7th in defensive expected points added, 3rd in total yards allowed, and 2nd against the pass, gives them a much higher floor, particularly against an Eagles offense that has not looked comfortable in weeks. If Los Angeles can keep Philadelphia chasing long fields and obvious passing downs that play straight into their strengths, the situational factors lean their way too. The Chargers are 5-2 at home, and even if the building is not as loud as some other stadiums, they are used to the surface, the schedule, and the routine. The Eagles are flying across the country, dealing with the time change, and doing it while missing key contributors in both trenches. Carter on the defensive side is a major loss against a surging Chargers run game, and the offensive line is not at full strength either. Those issues are exactly the sort of thing that shows up in the fourth quarter when legs are heavy and the game comes down to a few high-leverage snaps. Momentum is not everything, but it matters when you see patterns repeat. The Chargers have taken 4 of 5, found life offensively, and continued to rely on a sturdy defense. The Eagles, meanwhile, have been outgained in the majority of their games, and that habit tends to catch up with teams eventually. Playing with fire that often is not a sustainable way to cover spreads, especially as a road favorite. When you consider how the Chargers match up in the trenches, how their defense aligns with Philadelphia's offensive weaknesses, and how the travel spot favors the host, it becomes easier to see which side is more reliable against the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Los Angeles Chargers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Now let us talk about how this game is likely to look on the scoreboard, which is a different question entirely. Both teams have gradually shifted into more grinded-out games this season. Even when the Eagles were winning, they were not consistently putting up huge yardage totals. Since Week 5, those 340-plus yard games have been rare for them, and we have already seen how unreliable their running game has become. That inconsistency on the ground feeds into disjointed drives, stalled possessions, and an offense that spends too much time punting or settling for field goals. The Chargers, for their part, have leaned into balance, but that balance comes with a slower offensive pace and fewer explosive passing sequences than in past seasons. Herbert's recent passing yardage totals, the string of 212, 212, 199, 93, and 149, tell a story of an offense that is content to play within structure rather than constantly hunting big plays. Their improved run game, with 645 rushing yards in 4 of their last 5 non-Jacksonville games, keeps the clock running and encourages methodical drives instead of quick-strike fireworks. The trends support the idea that this matchup is more likely to be controlled than chaotic. Philadelphia has gone 1-6 under in their last 7 Monday night appearances, which, as phrased, suggests they are involved in a lot of games that lean away from high scoring in that particular time slot. They are also listed as 1-6 under following their loss to Chicago, again pointing to low-scoring environments in that pattern. The Chargers show a similar story in the wording, sitting 0-6 under before playing Kansas City and 1-7 under in their last 8 Monday night games. The language used connects them to contests where defense and pace have a big say, not wild, back-and-forth shootouts. On the season, the raw scoring numbers fit that picture. The Eagles average 22.5 points per game, 19th in the league, and the Chargers sit at 23.1, 18th. These are not terrible offenses, but they are a long way from the top-tier scoring units. Both defenses rank inside the top 12 in points allowed, which makes it harder for either side to suddenly spike into the 30s without some truly unusual sequence of turnovers or special team scores. We also have the season-long and home and road trends against the total. Philadelphia has stayed under the number in 7 of their 12 games. They have split their 6 road games in relation to the total, but they have gone under in each of their last 2 as the visitor and in 4 straight overall. That is not a fluke. That is a pattern of games where the offense has not broken loose. Los Angeles has split their 12 games against the total, and at home they have also split 6 contests. Interesting wrinkle, they have gone over in 4 of their last 6 overall, but that has a lot to do with game scripts and occasional spikes rather than some reinvention into a permanent high-flying attack. The context here still nudges us toward restraint. Herbert is playing through a hand injury, even if it is on the non-throwing side, and quarterbacks dealing with any injury tend to reduce risk a bit, protect themselves, and lean more on shorter throws and the run game. On the Eagles' side, the offense is searching for rhythm outside of A.J. Brown, and there is not much evidence that a sudden explosion is coming against a defense as stingy as the Chargers. When both offenses lean more on patience, and both defenses have the talent to limit chunk plays, possessions feel precious and long. The posted total is already very low, which reflects the market's respect for these defenses and skepticism about both offenses. Even so, when you walk through the way each team wants to play, the recent scoring history, and the trend lines, it still feels more likely that we get a methodical, possession-focused game than a surprising track meet. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.